fact is that I've been in telecommunications now for too long, longer than most of these guys have been alive, and I've worked for IBM, Siemens, and some smaller companies, and I've worked with global companies, I've worked with startups that are like mom and pop shops just getting off the ground. So everybody needs the same thing, really, and I'm going to tell you some things that you already know. There's a lot of questions you're going to bump into, obviously, when you start to get into internet connectivity and voice. Everybody knows they're going to need a phone and a phone number. And the most obvious thing when you're starting off might be, hey, I've got a phone. Why do I need anything else? Trust me, you're going to need a phone number, and you're going to want a phone number that's not your cell phone. So you do want to build your, somewhat similar to what was said earlier, you want to build your own image, your company image, and having a phone number that is yours that can then have it lead to multiple people, get to multiple devices, so it can track you down to the shore, if you're at the shore, at your, I don't know, at your house in the mountains, or whatever. That, you know, those kinds of things are good things to know. You're going to need dial tone. Who you choose dial tone from will matter, and there are multiple ways to get dial tone, multiple options these days. Internet connectivity, again, you can, when you're small, you don't need a lot. But you do need to think about what, you know, where you're going. When you get, at some point, you're going to start putting data out into a data center. You're going to need enough speed so that people are able to do their job, and you want to be able to do your job from almost anywhere. So there's lots of questions there. Redundancy and business continuity. You don't want to look, when you're small and you're starting off, you don't want to look small like you're starting off. You really do want to look like you're substantial, and so you do want to think about what happens if the Comcast line goes down. What happens if my T1 goes down, or if my business is interrupted in some way because of technology. And finally, your location is going to matter, because the location that you choose is going to have a lot of different options for you to provide what you're going to be needing. This is a simple drawing, and I apologize for the fact that it's actually quite busy, but it's got some of the basics in it that, again, you may already know. In a phone, a lot of companies, you're going to start with a phone system if you've got several people. You're going to have internet connectivity. They're going to take you to the public switch telephone network, the internet, and you're going to have people to be able to work from home. That's a fairly straightforward business setup. But these days, you can now do things, instead of putting that smarts in your office, you can have the smarts in the cloud. You can have your phone system in the cloud. There are a number of things that are great about that. One is that your phone system never dies. You're never out of business. I had a customer that where the T1 went down, Verizon was on strike, it didn't matter. Their phone system was in the cloud. Instead of going to their phones at their desk, which were dead, suddenly when you called, you got answered just the same as you always did, but then it went to their cell phones, and they were able to continue working. So using the cloud is something that has a lot of value, and it's something to think about as you start making choices. I mean, if you already have a small business, you've made some of these choices. It's not a bad thing. You may easily be able to continue and move past some of those choices or adjust some of those choices. Business continuity does come into this quite well, though, because I can have people working from home. Oops, go back for a second. I can have people working from home. I can have people working from their cell phones. I can have people at their desks, and I don't have to really manage that much or have that much equipment on site. A little bit about location. Fiber, copper, microwave, FiOS, coax, all of those things are available to different quantities in different locations. So when you get to some examples, I thought I'd throw some examples up here just to give you a sense. If you happen to be in this building, which is not a cheap building, you actually get probably the best bargain for internet available. $700 a month for 100 megabits for internet. It's a pretty substantial deal. It's a very good deal. You would not get that in most buildings, but there are a number of buildings in the city that are lit with fiber by a company that's practically giving it away. So that's one example. Another example is I have a customer in the Navy Yard. they were paying $4,000 a month for 6 megabits. I said, let me chase and see if I can get some fiber for you. I found a couple different fiber providers. One of them was able to get 50 megabits for $1,500. So that person's price was more than cut in half, and the speed was substantially improved. Another example was a 10 megabit circuit. Now this is out in the suburbs, and it was for $1,300 a month. Another example, again, this is a Conshohocken company. They needed a point-to-point from their office to their data center because they do a lot of work, and they have a lot of co-location in a data center. That was a great deal, but again, it took some shopping around, and I found something that worked well for them. The other thing that's available is microwave, which is a little interesting because if you have a building that's within the city and can see that tower right there, you can get microwave just by putting an antenna on top of your building, and you get a lot of nice options, including some nice backup options. So there's some great things out there. Redundancy is something I mentioned. Microwave can act as a redundant. Coax and Fios, if you're a startup, Coax and Fios is probably all you need. And then finally, you actually can use cellular with 4G cellular today. Actually will keep you up and running if for some reason your main line's cut. Feel free to ask any questions, by the way, if you have any questions throughout this quick
Hey, Don.
Yes.
You mentioned here that $700. Is that one specific provider in this building?
One specific provider in this building and in some other buildings up and down.
What's the provider here?
I'm not going to tell you. No, I will tell you. It's Cogent.
Oh, okay.
Cogent, yeah. And
Same one that's in my.
they're in your building as well. Right. And they've lit, I don't know, maybe 20 buildings in the city or less, and they're practically giving it away. So that is the best price you'll find in the city.
Really?
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Back to the basics. Think about your phone number. Think about what where you want to get your dial tone. You want to get it from Comcast or somebody else. Comcast is actually, I have to give them credit. They've really grown their portfolio of offerings. They have limits. There are a lot of other dial tone providers for SIP trunking and newer hosted solutions. Internet connectivity, there's lots of options. Redundancy, keep in mind how to keep your business up and running. Of course, rethink your location when it's time to move. When you're starting off, you probably don't, you start wherever the heck you are, right? But once you start having a choice for questions, I'll be happy to be around afterwards. And this is my contact info. And there's some information in the back.